Hi, I'm Everett Moore, author of the book Growing Up Country, Rural Life in the 1950s and 1960s. I was blessed to have the opportunity to write a book to recount experiences not only from my youth, but what it was like growing up in a rural community just very few years ago. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have an opportunity to show you different aspects of that life, from the church, from country stores, from home, from the schools, and just general life in a rural community in the 1950s and 1960s. I started on this venture because as a real estate attorney and estate practitioner, oftentimes I have people in here that are new to our area and have moved here from areas that are not rural. And so we often have lulls in the conversation or lulls in the work, so we have an opportunity to discuss with them and tell them stories of what it used to be like here just a few short years ago. I find that many of the realtors and the bankers that sit through the closings say, you've got to write a book, you've got to preserve this, you're telling so many stories. Of course, the first question that I get from the people who've moved into the area is, where is that accent from? And this is an accent from this area. I'm located in Georgetown, Delaware, which is the county seat of Sussex County, state of Delaware, and we're in the Mid-Atlantic region. We're just about 17-18 miles from the Atlantic Ocean in Delaware Bay, and we're east of the Chesapeake Bay. We're on the Delmarva Peninsula. Although my stories and what I recount are of this area necessarily because that's where I grew up, I believe that the book recounts rural activities and rural lifestyle any place in the country. During my discussions with clients and others, I often recount local stories and things of interest. For example, many people were shocked to find out that the book, The Little Engine Could, had local roots. And in fact, the grandmother of Linford Fawcett of Massey's Landing fame was the one who wrote the book, and she originally wrote the book under the title The Little Pony Engine, which was a Sunday school lesson. The publishers took the book, did not give her credit for it. After a long fought battle on her behalf by a cousin, she was given credit for the book, and it was after she was 100 years old before the first book was published with her name on it. And that's a true American classic, and it recounts the type of stories that we were taught as children, that anyone could be anything they wanted. They just needed to work hard and keep working hard and keep going against all obstacles. Another story I recounted to people is how Noxema has a local connection. Dr. Bunting had developed it, and it was called No Eczema, or Noxema for short, and later became a local ointment for sunburn. So it was constantly used on commercials during the 50s and 60s, showing someone with a severe sunburn and the Noxema being applied to that. But he went to a local person. He was from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, went to a local person in the Dagsbury area, Mr. Townsend, and got funding for it. So many of the people in our area have substantial shares of what was then the Noxel stock. The other thing I would tell clients and friends, and they were constantly amazed with my local expressions. Recently I was telling someone that had a small bump on their neck that it was just a pip jinny. And they looked at me and said, what are you making up? And I said, well, pip jinny is a small bump. They said, no way. So I said, check it. So they Googled it and found out that is a phrase that was used primarily on the Delmarva Peninsula that means small bump or blemish. Another expression was the pine shats. If you go out of our area and you refer to pine shats, they wonder what you mean. To us, it's pine needles. Once pine needles have fallen on the ground, they're referred to as pine shats. Another is shine. People, when they would just say general expressions, say, oh shine, this is a long day. People look and say, what do you mean, oh shine? Well, it's just an expression and part of the local lore. So I was encouraged to write a book to preserve some of the local expressions, local stories, But as I was doing that, I thought it was more important to preserve the lifestyle that was here in the 1950s and 60s. So my book, Growing Up Country, Rural Life in the 1950s and 60s, talks about country stores, the country churches, home life, what it was like in farming, the work chores we had to do, the kind of recreation that we grew up doing, what our foods were like. We did not have ethnic foods in the time. We didn't know what Chinese food was. We never tried it. It was seemed extremely foreign to us. You know, same way with Italian cuisine. In fact, one very successful empire that's on the peninsula is Grotto's Pizza. I remember as a young boy, my brother coming home and commenting that some guy was on the boardwalk giving out slices of what he called pizza pie that he wanted to sell. He was giving those away so locals would know what pizza was. And now it's just a huge empire, the true American dream. Start with an idea and work and be successful. So it was my goal to preserve those kind of things about rural life. And so consequently we have the book, Growing Up Country, Rural Life in the 1950s and 60s. And I hope you have a chance to enjoy it. To learn more about the book and what we've been discussing today, join us on Facebook, Growing Up Country, Growin Up Country, or our website, www.growinupcountry.com.